Welcome to solverfy.
So at Kinsey Construction assembles residential houses, and we're basically given a table that shows the construction period, the direct material cost, the direct labor cost, and the direct labor hours of two models. And where it's basically the first question wants us to compute the budgeted indirect cost rates and the actual indirect cost rates, and why do they differ. So for the first one, the budgeted indirect cost rate. So and this is the first part of the question. So we're gonna have 1A. So budgeted indirect cost rate. So the cost drivers are direct labor hours, and the budgeted assembly support costs are from the question. The budgeted assembly support costs are 8,800,000, and the budgeted direct labor hours are 220,000. So therefore the budgeted overhead rate will be the budgeted total overhead cost divided by the budgeted cost drivers. So that is 8,800,000 divided by 200,000. And this is $40 per hour. So moving on, the actual indirect cost. So the actual indirect cost, we want to find the cost rate, but the actual indirect cost is 8,400,000, and the actual direct labor hours are 200,000. So therefore the actual overhead rate will be the overhead cost over the actual labor cost drivers. So that will be 8,400,000 divided by 200,000, and that is equals to $42 per hour. So we're done with that. Now moving on to the next question. What are the job costs of the Laguna model and the mission model using the normal costing and the actual costing? So we're going to be starting with the normal costing. Then we'll do the actual costing later. So using the normal costing, the budgeted overhead rate will be equals to the budgeted total overhead cost over the budgeted cost drivers, and that's 8,800,000 divided by 220,000, and that's $40 per hour. Now, computing the budgeted assembly support cost allocated to each job would be the L model. So the budgeted assembly support cost. So with the L model, that will be equals to the budgeted overhead rate multiplied by the direct labor cost, labor hours rather, and this is equals to $40, which is right here, multiplied by 970 that we're given, and the L model budgeted assembly support cost to be 38,800. Now with the M model, it will be the budgeted overhead rate multiplied by the direct labor cost, labor hours, I'm sorry. And this is equals to $40 multiplied by 1,000 direct labor hours, and this is equals to $40,000. So that's that. Then we move into the second part of the question, which is the actual costing, using the actual costing. So using the actual costing, the actual overhead rate will be equals to the actual total overhead cost divided by the actual cost of drivers. The actual cost drivers. So that will be equals to 8,400,000 divided by 200,000. And that is $42 per hour. Now we're going to be calculating it with the L model like we did in the first question. So with the L model, it will be the actual indirect cost rate multiplied by the direct labor hours, and this will be equals to $42 that we just found multiplied by 970, and this is 40,700 with the L model. Now with the M model, it will be equals to the same formula, and it's $42 multiplied by 1,000, and this is equals to 42,000. So that's the answer. Now the last question: why might Atkinson Construction prefer normal costing over actual costing? So first of all, to use the actual costing, they should wait till they complete the construction because the actual values can be known only after the completion of the project. So therefore, they will prefer the normal costing because they'll prefer the normal costing over the actual costing because the normal costing is based on budgeted values that can be estimated at the beginning of the project. So the normal costing is preferred because it can be estimated at the beginning of the project, unlike the actual costing, because the actual costing can only be known after the completion of the project. So that's why we prefer normal costing.